Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Hi, I'm behind here. Our show is a production of our political committee, the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, and our affiliated nonprofit, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. We have a couple people on tonight from NORML, from the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Regular guests, Madeline Martinez, who's the head of Oregon NORML and on the board of directors of NORML, the national organization, and Mr. Russ Balville, who is the chapter outreach coordinator?
That's correct. And
host of the daily podcast and internet production, The Stash. And musically, we have Mr. Tim Pate, as almost always, and John Cornett. Welcome back, folks.
Thank you.
They'll be providing some musical accompaniment shortly. We have a couple film clips tonight, a debunking of a drug warrior and the gateway drug theory as produced by Russ Balville here, and a clip from 2005 from one of my mentors, Dr. Todd McArea, the late great Dr. Todd McArea. We'll have that at halftime. We'll be taking your phone calls, so stay tuned and bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
Chicago.
Live music is better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim Pate and John Cornette. We'll have them back here towards the end of the show with more lovely bud shots. I'd like to welcome Madeline Martinez. How have you been doing, Madeline?
I've been doing really well, Paul.
And Russ Balville, welcome back.
It's good to be here, Paul.
Hey, glad to have you. We have a film clip that you produced on the debunking the gateway theory. I know we've got a couple segments. We're going to play one of them here.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing thing. You know, I spent a lot of time on the internet and looking at the footage from hearings in different state legislatures and in the federal Congress, and usually they're very disappointing because the lawmakers are so uneducated about cannabis, and they spout all the same reefer madness lies. But this one was a really impressive one. It was on CNN, and it features Representative Steve Cohen from Tennessee. He's a Democrat from Tennessee, questioning FBI Director Robert Mueller, and you'll be stunned at how well educated this one Representative Steve Cohen is.
All right.
Excellent.
That's
It's about
what I
time.
like to hear is the FBI. You know, if they say anything about the gateway drug, they're just liars. We know that. In 1999, the Institute of Medicine and National Academy of Sciences said basically marijuana is not a gateway drug, but marijuana prohibition is a gateway to the black market. And so happy to hear that's finally filtering down to our representative.
We need to send some of those tapes to our legislators.
Absolutely. Well,
That's the problem.
This video will be put up on the Oregon Normal YouTube channel and the National Normal YouTube channel just as soon as we get more processing.
Excellent.
You'll be able to catch it at the Oregon Normal website.
Great.
All right, so let's roll that tape. It's coming any second now.
Do you feel we're any closer to winning the war on drugs based on all of the problems with Mexico and the cartels and the fights over our border and the drugs being imported from Mexico than we were last year?
Well, whether you call it a war on drugs or some other term, I mean, I firmly believe that we need to do what we should to stem both drug trafficking into the United States and drug usage in the United States. And I do believe there have been some successes, particularly when it comes to the use of drugs by children in high school or college and the like. There are others in the at ONDCP and others who are much more familiar with that than I am. But
You say some successes. Do you have any statistics to show? Statistics I see say that more people are using, say, marijuana than have, because the public doesn't has a feeling about use of certain drugs that maybe the FBI doesn't. Is there a better way, and some people have suggested looking into a system of legalization that might be effective in stemming the tide of drugs from Mexico and then the border wars and the immigration problems from Mexico? Have you considered this as a possibility?
I think anybody who looks at this problem considers it, and ultimately when you look at it, rejects it. I tend to think that the use of particular drugs goes in waves. You'll have marijuana for a period of time, then you'll have heroin, then you'll have cocaine, then you'll have crack cocaine, then you'll have methamphetamine, and then you'll have OxyContin, and it goes in waves. And
let me ask you about
the way people. I'm sorry, but there are too many individuals, both parents and others, who have lost their lives to drugs to give a ready answer that it should be legalized.
I agree with you, sir, and there are lots of parents who've lost their lives to crack, cocaine, methamphetamines, and heroin, and they've somewhat gone in waves. Name me a couple of parents who've lost their lives to marijuana.
Can't.
Exactly, you can't, because that hadn't happened, and there hadn't been a wave, because that's been a constant thing in America since Harry Anslinger, because African Americans used it and saw it as something that was crippling, and gave it to the Latin Americans and put an ethnic tone to it. When have we? Don't we? Is there some time we're going to see that we ought to prioritize meth, crack, cocaine, and heroin, and deal with the drugs that the American culture is really being affected by and lives are being lost?
The only thing I would say is that you talk to parents who have lost their children to drugs.
Right.
They will inevitably say that they started off with marijuana.
They probably started off with milk and then went to beer. And then they went to bourbon, and then they might have gone to marijuana. The gateway theory doesn't work.
Maybe.
It's a reality. Obviously, we're going to not going to agree there.
All right. Nice. Well, obviously they're lying, and he pointed them out. Now, that's a great change of pace. I mean, I've been waiting my whole life to see a congressman do that.
And the look on FBI Director Mueller's face when he's called out on it, he's just, oh.
Gee, I've been lying all these years, and no one's called me on it like this before.
Yeah,
It's called busted.
For that to be happening in our United States Congress, from a elected representative
From Tennessee.
Tennessee, yes,
Tennessee.
It's amazing.
Wonderful. It's just wonderful. I think
I smoked
finally,
a lot of pot
huh?
when I've been in Tennessee, but I've never thought I'd see the politicians start to dress down the FBI for it, for lying about it.
There's another video with Representative Cohen. I placed it on the Stash archives at stash.normal.org. It's another one with him and Representative Charlie Rangel from New York and Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas, and he smacks down Charlie Rangel when he tries some reefer madness too. I'll compile some more of these for the show, but
it's amazing that Rangel represents Harlem. I mean, he's such a rapid drug warrior. It's incredible. Hey, we have a caller. Our first caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yeah, great one. I just wanted to ask you, did you hear any more about Arnold, the governor of California? Because he was saying the other day on the news here that he was shooting towards to legalize marijuana in the whole state of California, and not just for us on the card, but the whole spectrum, like you've been saying.
Yeah, he said it was time to debate it, at least. He said he wasn't in favor of it, but he was in favor of debating it. And looking at other countries that had regulated marijuana. And, if you look at his movie, his very first movie, the documentary Pumping Iron, isn't that the name of it? Pumping Iron. He smokes marijuana at the end of it. And in a Penthouse interview that came out at about that same time, he said that he would smoke marijuana once or twice a week before he went to the gym to enhance his workout. So, obviously it didn't do him any harm. I like to think that you look at him back then as Mr. Universe when he was on marijuana, and you look at him now as kind of an older guy, a little bit smaller, still in good shape for his age, I guess. But he's definitely not as in the shape he was when he was using marijuana. I think he needs to start using marijuana again and going back to the gym a little more.
I agree. Well, thank you for your time, and I really appreciate everything that you're all doing, because this is a great thing, and anybody listening, hey, pay attention to what they're saying. They know what they're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have a question for us tonight, you can call that number on your screen. It's 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. Is it this week that we got the vote in Illinois where the Illinois... Is it the Senate that passed the medical marijuana bill?
The medical marijuana bill passed in the Illinois Senate by a vote of 30-28, with one person voting present. Talk about, kind of cowardly there. But 30-28, it finally passed. It went to the Illinois House, where it passed the House subcommittee that it had to get through. And now it's just about time for it to go through to the Illinois House. We were hoping they would vote on it this week, but they didn't get through. They had so many other bills they had to read.
I know their session's wrapping up really quickly here, sometime in the next week or so. So hopefully it'll get to the floor. Is there any word on how the Illinois governor would look at that?
This is kind of a mystery at this point, because the Illinois governor is so new, and we don't have a whole lot, with the whole Rod Blagojevich being, ousted and this new governor being put in. We don't have a lot of background on this governor or any past public statements. The feeling from most people, though, that I talk to in Illinois is that it's very positive, that they don't anticipate any veto threat from the governor.
Well, if he's one of the 2/3 of the people who are in favor of medical marijuana, then there's a good chance he would sign it into law if he can make it through the... Is it the Senate now it needs to go through?
The House, Illinois House. Senate's
and
passed
it was defeated last year in the Illinois Senate, wasn't it? So this is a turnaround in terms of their House.
Now, what's the nature of the bill?
This is another bill that's crafted. It seems like a lot of these bills, they take the Oregon model and then they start paring away at it to try to appease law enforcement.
Whittle it down.
They whittle it down. I think it was maybe 6 plants for possession and maybe somewhere around 2.5 ounces. That's the last I've heard.
I see. So it looks then the Minnesota, one of the chambers of the legislature in Minnesota has passed this, but the governor there has said they're going to. He would veto medical marijuana.
Yeah, that has happened, actually. It passed the Minnesota House, it passed the Minnesota Senate, but it has been vetoed by Governor Tim Pawlenty. Again, and this was actually one of these silver lining kind of cases, because they pared the bill down so harshly. They made it so that only terminal patients could get a medical marijuana card, and by terminal they don't mean chronic pain, chronic nausea, cancer, AIDS, HIV, multiple sclerosis, ALS, glaucoma, almost everything everything that we know medical marijuana can help, people with those conditions wouldn't have been able to get it under that bill. Only just about to die people.
But the governor doesn't even want just about to die, terminally ill patients.
Not even terminally ill patients. They'd also taken away the right for patients to grow their own medicine. They would have had to got it through a state monopoly store.
Is this a Republican governor?
Pawlenty is a Republican governor, yes.
Boy, no, there's a Republican compassion for you.
Yeah.
So it looks like the best hope this year that we have left lies in New Jersey.
New Jersey
can
is
just get through. Governor Corzine there has said he would sign the bill. It's passed one chamber of the legislature. It just has to get through the General Assembly, as I recall.
That's right. Past the Senate, needs to go through the Assembly.
Okay.
Well, we're moving across the country. I mean, I think that we will have more states coming around to our thinking, more free states.
And there was another comment from the federal government saying that states are laboratories of to experiment in, and quoted the Brandeis decision from the 1920s that states should be free to branch out and experiment in democracy, and that sure opens the door to taxation and regulation, as we've been talking about here in Oregon, and Schwarzenegger has been talking about as well.
Yeah, we've gotten a really good response from just me mentioning the Oregon Harm Reduction Act, and what Representative Carolyn Tomei was at a town hall meeting that I've told you all about before, Senator Rosenbaum, and we got to mention it to the town hall meeting, and everybody just raised their hands, applauded. It was quite amazing to get that kind of a response from a town hall meeting, and they said all the people that were there said they wanted to discuss it again. They would like to discuss it further, and they think it should be looked at as an option for revenue.
That's right. Well, we have another caller. Hello, caller. You are on our show.
Hi, my name's Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Okay, my question is, I haven't started anything growing yet. I'm just in the process of getting my card. I haven't got it yet. I got a couple buddies of mine that got cards and they're growing, but they got problems with these mites.
Mites are insidious.
So I was just wondering, I know in California you can get clean starts, but is there any way I can get some clean starts here in Oregon?
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I am not sure. You always hope starts are clean, but, mites are everywhere. When I drive down the Columbia River Gorge, which is just a few miles out of Portland, in the summer, you'll see huge nets of mites in the trees along the river, and they're out there and just about everywhere. They're microscopic, and the real problem is that they're so small they come in through everything, but their predators out in the natural world don't, and so they can come in and just take over a garden in pretty quick order. Getting clean starts.
Then once you get them,
there's no legal place. Huh?
I mean, once you get mites, what do you got to just poison them or something?
No, you got to clean. Poisoning. If you poison the mites, there's this unfortunate thing that if you consume things from your garden, you'll be poisoning yourself. So the real solution is elbow grease, cleaning it out, scrubbing it down, painting it over, washing it with soap and water, and taking your plants. One thing I would do is I take my plants out into the night and blast them with a power hose and blast the little buggers off into the night. And they don't like cold, wet conditions anyway. And so another thing is you can use neem oil. You don't want to use that during the flower cycle, though, or soapy water and cayenne pepper. There's a lot of non-toxic alternatives to at least control them. It might not completely wipe them out, but once you've harvested your crop, then you can do the real job of cleaning it meticulously, and that's your best weapon.
Well, I'm gonna grow in dirt, so then I gotta throw the dirt away if I get them.
Not necessarily. Just put a little bit of diatomaceous earth in there, and that will wipe them out too.
Okay. Well, thanks for the time, but have a good one.
Thanks. That's the real problem, is patients having a place to find plants. And Oregon Normal does a good job in helping that with the bi-monthly meetings. Twice a month you have a cardholder meeting. Is that tomorrow?
No. Next week. I believe it's June 13th.
12th.
12th. Oh, well, it was close.
That's 2 weeks out,
2 weeks
right?
away.
So this is a fifth Saturday. Must be the month of a fifth Saturday or something. Yeah. So you do it twice a month, 24 times a year. Oregon Normal takes in free plants and free medicine and gives it out to patients. But you know, you can't guarantee anything is mite-free. And you bring a mite-free plant in there, and the odds are 9 out of 10 that there's some that do have mites in there, and they're microscopic. You can't see them. They're all, you know, they could be all over you, and you would hardly know it, you know. It's really a hard thing to control. All you can do is say, if you get a cutting, you should just assume it has mites and treat it like it has mites. And wash it down with soapy water. Put a little bit of neem oil on there the next day, and do that for a couple of days, alternating. Soapy water one day, neem oil the next, and you will non-toxically wipe those little buggers out.
And it's always best to isolate the plants before you put them into your garden. A lot of people just take that new cutting and put it in their vegetative, that section of their garden, and then they get infested. And when we spoke to the Dutch, I told you I met with the Dutch. They're coming up here to look at that state garden idea. When I mentioned it at a hearing on March 18th, they contacted the Dutch and flew them in here, the legislature, and had a real talk with them. And they came and they did an excellent presentation. Russ, you need to put it up on our website.
Absolutely.
It'll be great. It's real informative. And I talked to them specifically about mites because that's the biggest problem, you know, that we're dealing with here. And they said, oh, that's easy. You know, it's really nice to hear. Oh, really? I was so excited. He said, cleanliness.
Yeah.
Cleanliness. He said, if you've got a messy, you know, a mess down wherever your garden is, you're going to continue.
Dead leaves laying around.
Dead leaves, trash.
Buggers on there.
This guy even wore you know, he looked like he was going into surgery to go into his garden area.
Yeah.
And they grow some really fine-looking marijuana from the pictures I could see.
Very tasty,
I would like to
too.
sample it. I told them
It's
that
very
if they
tasty.
could, that would be nice
Well, you
to
know,
impress me.
Oregon Normal has that as a resource. We also have an online forum that's only open to patients, and again, patients can help patients, and that's one of the primary ways that patients can get medicine. But you know, we don't have the dispensaries here that they have down in California, and so it makes it easy for them to get plants at times anyway.
Yeah.
But
we're working on it. We'll get it.
Yeah.
We're going to get something.
I'm hoping we'll just completely legalize it and make the whole thing.
Be nice?
No,
yes.
that's what we're working for.
That's what we're working for. Yeah, exactly.
So stay tuned for that. If you have a question for us tonight, it is the 28th. Yeah, the 28th of May. No, the 29th of May. 29th of May, 2009. Call us at 503-288-4448. And we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Good evening, gentlemen and lady.
Hello.
How y'all doing tonight?
Great.
Fantastic.
I'm a little
Excellent.
sleepy, but that's okay.
You guys had a caller previously talked about Schwarzenegger's comment about how he opposed it right now, but he'd like to have hearings and
see the debate,
restart the debate, and see what other countries were doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to hear, and I know between the brain trust, there's got to be a lot of about what are other countries doing as far as when they have legalized it. I mean, Belgium, the Netherlands. Aren't there other countries that
Spain and Portugal,
they can take a model from?
Switzerland, you can grow your own there too. Most European Union countries nowadays allow personal cultivation of marijuana for personal use, just like Alaska does. So hopefully we'll see more and more of that.
Well, unfortunately, our government's not paying attention to any of that. They continue with their war on drugs.
Yeah. You know, it's a slow transition. I would say definitely that continued under the Bush administration, but I'm sure hopeful still. Call me naive.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful still that we'll see more change from this administration and more progressive change. Things such as what Cohen was saying there.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Speaking the truth. That's just a whole new wave. I've waited my whole life to see that.
At least what we heard from the new drug czar, Gil Kurlikowski, he said that we need to stop at least that metaphor.
Yeah.
And in his quote, he said, you know, no matter how you slice it, the perception is that you're waging war on American citizens.
Exactly.
You know, and
how many times have I said
as long as they're starting to say the truth about this, it's inevitable that we win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the other countries that the caller mentioned, when we look, of course, at the Netherlands, we see that the teen use and the adult use of cannabis is half that of what we have in the United States.
It's legally available.
We look at Portugal. Portugal's success with drug decriminalization has seen their lowest rates of both cannabis and hard drug use that they've ever recorded. So if Arnold Schwarzenegger is being honest about wanting to see what the other countries have done, the evidence is in. It's clear that decriminalization and legalization works.
You can find some of that data on our website. As a matter of fact, Russ has put together a really great, this whole collection of data graphs. Very impressive. All the legislators that saw your work actually said they were very impressed by it. And we won at the legislature. We won law enforcement, AOI, Associated General Contractors.
The most powerful lobbying groups in the state.
Took them down.
Right. The Associated Oregon Industries and law enforcement, two of the most powerful lobbying groups in the state, have now lost to cannabis users.
Yes.
Well, it seems obvious to me, and I'm sure to you as well, and thank you, Russ, for sharing that. It seems obvious that, as he said earlier, we have the truth on our side. Let's tell the truth. This is not a weed. This is not pot. It's hemp. It's not really even hemp. It's a spice.
Yeah.
If only we had a $20 billion budget like the government does.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a plant that could save so much of our environment and ecosystem if instead of using petroleum and wood and other things, we were using hemp in its place. We could solve so many different environmental problems and
economic
stave off
problems.
this great extinction mass extinction that's going on.
That's why I admire what it says behind your right shoulder, Paul. Cannabis Common Sense. You know that this is a show where you can get that. That's so wonderful.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. We keep trying to put that word out there, and we're in more and more cities. We mail out 12 of these CDs all around the country now to various cities like Seattle and Salem and Detroit, where we get it out there. And I've seen a spike over the past month. Our YouTube hits have gone up by about 4 or 5 times. It's gone up pretty significantly. Yeah. So stay tuned. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Is the hemp news still being published?
You know, we haven't put one out in a long, long time, but I've got to say that we're still working on developing one. So stay tuned.
That was also very helpful as far as information dissemination. But you're right, Russ. We don't have the $20 billion budget. So we are a little bit limited. But
just Truth, Facts, Logic, YouTube, and Google.
Right.
That's all we got.
Those are our tools.
And those are free in some cases.
Free.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good night. Oh, hey, how about a shout out to the OMCCC for their work in helping patients to get hooked up with growers. I've had wonderful luck with them myself. So
good.
So
excellent. Glad to hear that. There are a lot of different groups all over the state that are providing support for patients, and it takes a village. Somebody said that.
And if everybody stands up and comes out of the closet, sometimes I think we're worse than gay people used to be.
Yeah.
They came out of the closet and they're proud, loud and proud.
On the other hand, we've got 13 medical marijuana states and there's only 5 gay marriage states. So in the softball game, we're winning.
Yeah.
Yes. Amen. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
On the other hand, there's not 20 million people been arrested for being gay.
That's true.
So we have a film clip we're going to run now. A late friend of all of ours, Dr. Todd McArea, passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. And in 2005, he talked at the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards. And this is one of his speeches there, talking about the strength of the monomolecular model of pharmacy. So stay tuned. He says it better than I can. Here he is.
Does not exist anymore, which is talk therapy. And it's all pill pushing. It's all medication. And to that end, we really don't know what is happening, and this extends not just to psychotropics, but I'm going to read you a short letter to John A. Kitzhaber, MD, Director, Center for Evidence-Based Policy. Oregon Health and Science University. And this is who I suggest if you want to contact to embarrass a little bit. On February 25th, I happened to view a panel presentation by your organization on C-SPAN on the cost-benefit study of different pharmaceuticals contracted by AARP. The sum total of that panel was they could not develop any cost-benefits analyses because in analyzing the pharmaceutical literature, they discovered it was all promotional rather than objective and scientific. So everything masquerading as science is not. So based upon California clinical experience with a range of chronic conditions, our findings indicate a significant advantage over other pharmaceuticals conventionally utilized because of improved quality of life and fewer adverse effects. Consequently, we request the opportunity to discuss our findings with you. Attached is a list of conditions. And guess what the response was? So I'm glad this is going over cable TV in the Portland area, and hopefully somebody out there in the viewing audience can give the center a call and ask them to include cannabis in their studies, and especially about the mental health issue. I would be fascinated to hear the response, but I won't hold my breath.
May I interject just very briefly? There's research I'm sure you guys are all aware of about the synergistic effects of the receptor effects of opiates and cannabinoids, where they basically are hitchhiking with each other, and much smaller doses of both medications create the same benefit with, of course, much less side effects. These are really remarkable findings, and I really regret that there aren't physicians who are just monitoring the reduction in the prescription patterns of their patients if they doubt that cannabis is useful.
You think that's new? If you read marijuana medical papers in the Ohio State Medical Society meeting on cannabis in 1860, a Dr. Frommuller from Ohio reported that using an alternating courses of opiates and cannabis for treating chronic conditions reduced dependence on opiates. 1859 this was written. And so, this is something new. No, we're talking about the takeover by Big Farm and ruining policy through their special interest money. And furthermore, the fact that this whole system, can I use my favorite phrase?
Oh, why not?
Monomolecular mercantile madness. This is all patent office driven. If you look back to what it was before the single molecule ascended to its role in current commercial medicine, you'll see that it's all secondary to what can get patented. And they claim that the newly patented material is increasingly better, blah, 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 but then you see what's happened to the literature. It's gotten thoroughly corrupted and perverted so that you don't know what's happening, and here we have now a drug-seeking, drug-hungering public convinced that they need all sorts of combinations of patentable materials, and it's really sickening our society. And when they started directly advertising to the public for psychotropics, especially, ask your doctor. Social anxiety disorder, all these kinds of influences to influence you and their bottom line.
Any other questions?
So that was Dr. Todd Micarea, one of my heroes who passed away a couple years ago, a real pioneer in the field of medical marijuana. And we miss him. Another one of our people who didn't live to see legalization, but He sure helped push the issue along. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, Paul. I want to talk about a couple things about the political issues regarding medical marijuana.
Go right ahead.
Okay, the first thing is I want to talk about the governor's race coming up and the U.S. Senate, what's going on there with medical marijuana. But first, I want to tell you that Columbia County announced this week that they're laying off 18 deputies. The reason they're doing this is the U.S. Marshal's Office is no longer going to be housing their inmates in Columbia County. And there's two reasons why that's going on. First reason is the U.S. Marshal's Office is no longer arresting as many people in Oregon as they were in 2008. And hooray to Russ Belville, because he's really pounded this issue home, because the number one thing they're not arresting for anymore is marijuana in Oregon.
Hallelujah. Well, you know, they can't get a jury to convict us hardly anymore. That's one of the problems. If we just take these things to jury, the juries don't believe in these laws, and they're going to overturn them.
And there you go. And the U.S. Marshal knows that, and this shows you right there, the Justice Department is no longer prosecuting people because of marijuana issues, even if they're not patients, to see anybody in general. But I'll tell you the second reason they're moving them out of Columbia County and they're bringing them here to Multnomah County, because the Justice Department did an investigation of all the jails in Oregon. And Columbia County, along with our friend, Mr. Anti-Marijuana, Rob Gordon, out in Washington County, proved to be one of the worst in the state with regard to how they treated inmates in regard to human rights issues as far as people who are accused of crimes. And apparently Multnomah County is the least offending county in Oregon, so this is good news for us here.
That is good news. We can thank our probably our prosecutor for keeping those cops out.
That's right. Thank you, Karen. Hey, the other thing is, too, let's talk about the governor's race. John Kitzhaber, this week he announced he's going to considering very seriously running for governor.
He's going to run again.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. You were here 11 years ago. You remember what he said?
I remember him signing the bill to recriminalize simple possession of marijuana.
That's right. He came
and
out
we had
public.
to gather 90,000 signatures to stop the bill that he signed. And he got, in the legislature, 2/3 of the legislature had passed that bill, and then he signed it into law after debating it to the very last minute. And then 2/3 of the voters voted to overturn it. And we won every county in the state voted to stop the recriminalization of marijuana possession. And that was a big turning point in the entire drug war, I believe.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing about that John Kitzhaber thing is he's a doctor. He's an emergency room doctor. And the reason the legislature went along with him and why I argued with Lars Larson and Vic Bach about this whole thing is they kept saying, well, you know, he's a doctor, and he says there's absolutely no medical benefit from marijuana. So now 11 years later, we have a lot of studies to show that John Kitzhaber was wrong, and he used his position as a doctor, and the reason he did is because he's in the pocket of the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies. Oregon is one of 4 states where we do not have any limit on campaign contributions. So you betcha these big cats up there are taking a lot of money from the insurance companies and from the pharmaceutical companies. And John Kitzhaber, if you run again, just remember, everybody, we have till April 10th next year to register. If you're Republican, Independent, Greens, to register as Democrats, and make sure this guy doesn't get in as governor, because I guarantee there's a lot of people out there who like him a lot, and I don't know why. Listen, I'm going to talk about the U.S. Senate, too, because, you know, Ron Wyden, he's coming out now, and he's supporting this this health care package he has. Well, it doesn't include public choice, which is single-payer health care. This means he wants the insurance companies to stay in job. He wants to keep the money in their pockets, and he's going to be up for election, too, in the primaries next year. And so let's get somebody progressive in there and send a message to John Kitzhaber and Ron Wyden and say, hey, we are a legitimate group of people. There's a lot of us that are out there in the closets who will get out and vote and tell both these people, hey, we have a voice. And we're going to change it. We are changing it.
Good points. Thanks for bringing those issues up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
It's changing all over the country, and I just wanted to make sure everybody got a chance. If you heard us talking earlier about the different Illinois and Minnesota and New Jersey and all these different places that are moving forward on marijuana law reform, you can get that information at the normal website at norml.org. There's a little link that'll say write your representative, and every single state that has something going on, clickable link, email all written out for you. All you got to do is sign your name to it. It's the least you can do to help try to end adult marijuana prohibition.
Yeah, and they do listen to the letters they receive, so feel free to write your own if you don't want to use the language you see on the website. The more of them they get, handwritten letters especially carry a lot of weight in the legislators' offices, because they know that's a time-consuming endeavor.
Oh, I also had some, just real briefly, good news on the normal chapter front. We're spreading all over the country, the growing truth about cannabis. New chapters have opened up in Kansas City, Missouri,
Right.
Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Upper Peninsula
I was
normal.
there for that meeting.
Yep, and then a new statewide Ohio normal is coming online, so it's happening all over.
Wow.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah, it's good to
Our
to
wicked
see.
little plan is working.
Yeah. Soon we will take control.
Yes.
And stop the petrochemical industry. Hey, if you have a question for us tonight, call us at 503-288-4448. Just like this guy. Hello, caller. You're on our show. Hello, caller. No?
No caller.
Uh-oh. They went away.
Well, you know, I'm really excited here in the state of Oregon. We have much to celebrate with our hemp bill.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's not exactly the hemp we would like, but it is a beginning to imagine. I mean, Floyd Przonski's been working on this for how many years?
So what's going on with that? Where
Well,
is
it
at?
came out of the House. It came out of the committees. Everybody voted for it unanimously. So it's moving on, as far as I know,
To the floor of the House?
to the floor. And then I'm hoping that we're going to get it. I just can hardly believe it. But, you know, we've got these different factions. There's people that are saying, oh, but if they plant hemp, won't it, pollinate my pot plant outside or my medicine? So there's that debate going on. But, you know, I think we can work it all out.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
So
many
that's
people
exciting.
how many of our people in Oregon who are struggling with unemployment, laid off from timber
Can
mills,
have jobs.
could be putting together hemp press board? How many of our farmers that are out of work looking for a cash crop could be growing hemp? This is ridiculous. We've got
Well,
to legalize hemp.
We have to. We just have to. It's ridiculous for people to go to prison for something that it doesn't hurt anyway.
It's the plant that produces more biomass in the temperate and cooler climates than any other plant on this planet, and it grows well in the tropics, too.
Yes.
So, hey, there's a little plug for the normal meetings at the Village Ballroom. That's going to be on the 2nd and the 4th Saturday of every month. The next one is
June 12th.
June 12th. Coming soon to
Yeah.
700 Northeast Deacon.
Yeah, you have to have an OMMP registry identification card, and you have to have a state ID or driver's license, and you also have to be a member of Oregon Normal, and you can join right at the door. We try to make it as easy as possible.
The week before that, at the very same location, on June 6th, there'll be a benefit dinner for the Hempstock Festival. You know, Hempstock takes many thousands of dollars to put on, and so we're trying to build up some support. So we'll have a benefit dinner at the Village Ballroom coming up on June 6th, starting at 7 p.m. I think it's 7 p.m. to midnight. There'll be music and games, and it is a smoking event, so if you don't like, not tobacco, by the way, if you don't like smoking, this probably isn't the best place for you.
And
But,
Madeline, there's I'm sorry. Go right ahead. Excuse me.
No, I didn't mean go. You
Oh,
go ahead.
I just wanted to also. There's another great Oregon Normal development. The membership meeting at the general meeting.
General membership meeting is going to be at Neighborhood Pizza Parlor right down the street on Deacom as well. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting, and it is going to be June the 13th. I stand corrected. I thought it was the 12th. Didn't you say the 12th? Anyway,
I think
confusion.
12th is my payday.
Oh, there we go. 12th is payday. But June 13th is the date of our meeting, and also we'll be holding a general membership meeting at the Pizza Parlor after the meeting. That meeting, boy, I got so many meetings going on these days.
I know. Well, there's more and more things happening.
We're leaving to Aspen, actually, too, for the Normal Legal Committee conference.
That's next weekend. So you won't be here next weekend?
Won't be here next weekend.
I will be here. I'm not going to be able to go to Aspen, even though THCF is one of the sponsors of the Normal Legal Conference this year. I've got a kid getting ready to graduate from high school, and mom coming to town, all that stuff. Anyway, if you are out there and you think you might qualify for medical marijuana, there are a lot of different conditions that qualify. Chronic pain is the largest single category that qualifies for medical marijuana. I would say 60%, maybe even 70% of all the patients who have a medical marijuana permit have a chronic pain condition. Then come spastic conditions like multiple sclerosis, asthma, Tourette's syndrome, and then seizure disorders like epilepsy, gastrointestinal ailments like IBS or Crohn's disease or GERD, neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and even Alzheimer's. And glaucoma, cancer also qualify for medical marijuana. So if you know someone who needs help finding a physician, we have physicians all over the United States who can help you get a medical marijuana card. Call us toll-free at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And find out how you can become a legal medical marijuana patient. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi. My name is Betsy.
Hey, Betsy.
And I just moved from Pennsylvania about a few weeks ago. And all my doctors, psychiatrists, pain managers, all my doctors knew in my records that I'm a cannabis user. But they know, obviously, in Pennsylvania it's illegal. Now that I'm moving to the area, I need really to learn how to find doctors and information and how to... I've been using opiates for over 5 years.
Uh-huh. Well, you probably want to wean yourself off of those slowly but surely, not something to go cold turkey on overnight. Exactly. But we have doctors who are more than willing to help you, and you can just call our office at 503-281-5100 or 503-235-4606. If you're in the Portland area, either one of those numbers will work. Probably this one's the best one. It's 503-235-4606. If you're outside of the Portland area, that's a toll-free number. It's 1-800-723-0188. And we have offices all across the western United States and as far east as Michigan right now. So we'll be happy to help you.
Also, I've been part of the whole norm and the legalize, regulate, educate. That's what we need to let people know. There is a way of making everybody happy. Do what you have to do. There are other ways with medicals, herbs that you can utilize, and the regular doctors see you as a kook because you want to use vitamins, you want to use chiropractic, and you want to use cannabis to feel better instead of being medicated so much.
Yeah, when you're on opium or other opiates, it's just going to knock you out and make you irritable. And it's hard to have any good quality of life and interact with your family and community if you're passed out.
Yeah. Exactly, that's the point. Having the opiates all the time, muscle relaxers, medication for bipolar and depression, and I don't need, and they know all this, and there's nothing the doctors want to do about it instead of just pushing pills down my throat.
Right. Well, you know, it's all too common for people with chronic pain conditions to go to their doctor, and the doctors don't know what to do, so they give you endless doses of these addictive drugs, and they basically get you addicted, and then once you're hooked and you've got to have it, they say, oh, you're a drug user and a drug seeker because you've been hooked by the doctor. And so what we see in our clinics, and we've helped 60,000 people, over 60,000 people, get medical marijuana permits in 8 different states. And we see patients every day who are able to dramatically reduce or completely eliminate their need for narcotics such as opiates and fentanyl and OxyContin and Vicodin, and switch to cannabis and dramatically increase the quality of their life.
Yes, and that's what I'm looking for, and I appreciate your help. And now that I'm in Portland, I feel very, very happy and grateful that I have people around me that see the way I see, and the legalization is just great.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you all for your time.
We're glad to have you here.
I am really happy to be here.
Thank you.
You guys take care. Keep the word. Keep smiling, and keep believing.
Okay.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
If you need help finding a doctor, again, you can call us here in the Portland area at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. Or outside of Portland, you can call toll-free 1-800-723-0188.
what's maddening about that story, and we hear it so many times with regard to the pharmaceuticals and the opioids and the benzodiazepines and all these drugs, is how they will give you these massive handfuls of pills, and then the massive handfuls of pills cause so many adverse side effects, they give you another massive handful of pills to deal with the side effects. And yet, with cannabis, they're always talking about how the unwanted side effect of the euphoria, the unwanted side effect of the high from cannabis. And I'm thinking, if you're suffering from a terrible
effects
disease,
of the pharmaceuticals that are just dangerous.
People.
Yeah. You know, it's the #1 killer, number 2 killer in the United States. The number 2 cause of unintentional death is overdosing with pharmaceutical prescriptions. And so it's something that's very dangerous, but most doctors, aren't really educated about. And we need to tell them that cannabis is the alternative. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, I'm Brandon.
Welcome.
I'm a card holder. I can't find anywhere in my handbook that talks about outdoor growing. I was just wondering if there's any regulations on that.
Needs to be private. The most dangerous thing about outdoor growing is people will try to steal it. And so from August till October, you have to be out there and extra vigilant. But it can be grown outdoors here in the state of Oregon. You just can't have more than 6 plants budding at one time.
Correct. It's just getting, hot. It's really hard to grow inside during the summer season. So I was
That's true. Well, I'll tell you, the big grow bulb in the sky is a lot cheaper than those artificial bulbs inside. And there are a lot of benefits to being outside. You have a full spectrum. The plants can get bigger because there's no limitations on their root space. They're natural predators that can't necessarily make their way and live inside your home, but they can go out there and eat those bad bugs off of your plants in your garden.
Right. All righty. Well, thank you very much.
I want to remind everybody to get ready for I think this is going to be our 8th Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, and it'll be December the 12th this year.
December the 12th.
We're going to have Danny Danko from High Times. He's the cultivation editor. Am I right? I believe. And he's coming out. He's going to give us a grow panel.
All right.
We're going to get a booklet written and get all the information, and we're even going to talk about outside growing. So it's going to be really exciting. It's something that really needs to be discussed more because so many people grow inside, we kind of forget about those outside growers.
I prefer outdoors. The outdoor flavor is better. You don't have to worry about a lot of different things outdoors that indoors are problems. It's just a lot better way to go, if you ask me.
Now, Madeline, with respect to the law, of course, when people are going outdoors, it has to be out of public view. Has there been anything decided as far as like a 6-foot fence, an 8-foot fence, people with 2-story windows above you, and those kind of things?
Well, no, actually, it's pretty frightening. What I did find out, and this is from Lee Berger, he let me know that out of public view means if someone can see you with binoculars from their home, it's not out of public view. So there really is no out of public view unless you have a greenhouse or something like that. And that's really scary. If you're up on a hill and somebody's looking down at you, you're still in public view.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you were sunbathing nude, I'm thinking, isn't it your fault for being a peeper? But apparently the law is not on, it's on the side of the peeper. So bear that in mind when you are growing, and especially when you're growing by, if you live by schools, you have to be especially careful.
Yeah.
Last year we had one gentleman that wouldn't take his plant down, even when they came and told him 3 times, because he lived next door to a school.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
It was in view for the school kids?
Yes, and that's problematic. So, be thoughtful. You have to use cannabis common sense when you do these things.
Problematic politically, not like it's going to hurt the kids to see a pot plant growing.
Exactly.
Politically, it's a problem.
Exactly.
Legally, it can be a problem.
Right. Well, let's see. We have classes for folks out there. If you need help learning how to grow marijuana, you should come to our office on Wednesday nights at 5:30. We have classes on outdoor cultivation, indoor cultivation, beginning gardening, intermediate gardening, advanced gardening, making hashish. So give us a call to find out more about our classes at 503-235-4606. That handy-dandy number there, 503-235-4606. And if you're out and about and you haven't been by our office lately, you should just swing by there. We put a lot of new signs in, and new graphics. We're trying to make it look more and more professional.
It's
so
very
come on
nice.
by 105 Southeast 18th Avenue, just a block south of Burnside, the north-south divider here in Portland, just off of East Burnside at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue. See the signs and the pictures and the bud shots. And
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's getting better and better as time goes by. Well, we're winding up. Is there anything you two would like to say in closing?
I would like to say for everyone to please remember that this May is Medical Marijuana Awareness Month in the city of Portland.
Thank you, Sam Adams.
Yes. And if you haven't thanked Sam Adams, please give him a call and thank him. And also
And
let
thank
your
you,
local...
Madeline, for helping make that a reality, too.
Well, you're welcome. I'm very happy to do so. It's a very exciting time, and you know what everybody needs to do? I send it to all my local sheriffs, so you should do the same. Send it to your representative and let them know. I'm hoping that we can do this every year, that every May will be Medical Marijuana Awareness Month.
I like that.
And I'm going to push for it as hard as I can. And we're going to be sending letters to the governor. They need 30 days notice, so we'll start now.
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you viewers out there for tuning in. Come back next week. And we're closing in on show number 500. It turns out that show 500 coincides with the Seattle Hemp Fest weekend. So we'll be doing show number 500 the night before the Seattle Hemp Fest. And we're one of the main sponsors of this year's Seattle Hemp Fest. So stay tuned for more info on that. Thank you for watching. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp. Here's Tim Pate. John Cornette. Thank you, guys.